So yeah, this is the nostalgic card, memories, happy times, looking back on all those times. Sometimes it can be about reunions or hoping for reunions. So I do think there was someone who was looking back over old times, old memories. I don't know if this was an ex. I think it might have been an ex actually. I'm getting mixed things in this, mixed feelings in this. Usually this is an innocent card, a positive card. It could be about children, naivety, happy times. It's quite mixed though. What I'm seeing is there was someone who was looking back over these old memories with you, times you both spent together. It is an ex-love connection. And I think this person they might have been a bit deluded actually, or they were at this time. I think, I think they had these rose-coloured glasses on about what had happened between you in the past, whereas you were a bit more realistic about things. You could see what had happened. I think when you were with them, you were kind of happy with them, in love with them and all of that. You're in this kind of fantasy, but now you can look back on this. You see that this wasn't right for you. You're much wiser now. You have more responsibilities now. You've changed so much. So you can see what this was for what it was. But they couldn't, and they probably still can't now. I'm also seeing a bit of disapproval around this relationship. So maybe when you were together, there was a bit of family disapproval. If you look at this card, there's a man walking away from the scene on the left, just in this tiny little man just on the left-hand side. So someone wasn't happy with this connection back when you were together. And I think you might have been angry with this person. I think this might have been a relative of yours, maybe a parent or a sibling. And I think you probably dismissed them at the time, because I think you would have dismissed anyone that didn't approve of this, because you did love this person at the time. But again, now when you look back on this, you can see, this was totally wrong for you. And you could see that this person who disapproved was in the right. So yeah, you can see all that now. This ex cannot see that apparently, because they had, they had this positive spin on things, and that's what they were giving themselves. They were kind of selling this to themselves. They were really looking back on this and they were thinking, oh, if only this could have been, I remember this time and that time. What they were forgetting was that there are a lot of things they weren't noticing, a lot of things they didn't want to notice, a lot of things that they were dismissing about you that you were saying to them at the time, because they just wanted to live in the world that they wanted to live in. It was all pretty much about them. That's what I'm seeing. So the next card you have your past is the Ten of Cups. So yes, look at this. This is what they felt. This is what they thought they'd missed out on. This is what they think things would have been like if you had have stayed together, but it wouldn't have been like that at all. Absolutely would not. I mean, this is a beautiful scene, but there's a barrier between the couple and this beautiful house and rainbow and everything else that's all wonderful, because they're looking in on this scene. They're not in the actual scene, they're looking in. And that's what this person's doing. They're imagining what things would have been like. They're remembering the way things were in their mind, not actually how they were. And, they weren't taking into account that reality is reality. You're a real person. You have feelings. You have opinions. And I think maybe when they're around you, maybe they didn't listen to your opinions or your feelings on a lot of things. Everything was centered around them. Everything was centered around their perception of things. And if you had a different perception, then it was wrong. That's what I'm seeing. But they were in a fantasy. They were wrong. So I think they also had a few false illusions about some of their abilities as well. It sounds like I'm saying they're terrible. They weren't all bad, but they did have this really ideal world, this fantasy world, and it was inside their head. I think they also were like, well, I can do this, I can do that, one day I'll do this and that. But they weren't backing it up with any work. And so you could see that now. You couldn't at the time, but you can now. You're busy, you're in the real world. It might not look like this beautiful scene, but what you have is yours. You've worked for it. And, it's not perfect, but you're working on things. The emphasis here is on working. You're not daydreaming on things, you're working on things. That's the difference between you and them. That's what I'm seeing there quite clearly. So the last card you have, your past, is, yes, the Tower. So, yes. Okay, so this is about the natural order of things. And, when man comes along and he builds a tower on top of a mountain to show off and say, look at this big tower, look at how important I am and all of that. But there are no proper foundations under this. So when nature comes and it strikes, there's nothing, it doesn't take much for it to fall down. There's kind of nothing under it. So again, I think this person had a lot of big ideas, and that's what they were, ideas. You can't build a tower on an idea. You need an actual concrete thing under the tower to build it on top of. So I think at the time when you separated, it wasn't pleasant for you. It was very, very sad for you. It's not like you've separated and you were like, oh, they were so terrible, I'm so happy. No, it's not like that. There were a lot of mixed feelings around this. And I think, especially toward the end, I think all the way through, but especially toward the end when you started to wake up, before that time, I think they were going along in this fantasy, and I think they might have had you going along in this with them. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And you were like, oh, yes, that'll be fantastic when we're together and we'll have this and that and you'll be doing this. But, I think they were doing what felt good. And sometimes fantasy feels good, but it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to follow, So that's what they were following. And yeah, they're still around your energy for some reason. They're still around your energy. That's what I'm seeing. Sometimes that can mean that they might come back in some way at some time. So if this resonates and you know who this is, just be ready for this person to come back to you. They'll probably want to come and start talking to you, and and when they start talking to you, they'll imagine that you're this thing that they're imagining. But who they're talking to isn't going to be actually you. It's going to be how they imagine you to be, if that makes sense. That's what this person's like. That's what I can see in this. So the first card you have your present is the 9 of Cups. Yeah, I'm happy to see this here because I think you had this in your last reading. And yeah, this to me is the wish card here. It can mean different things, but that's what I'm seeing here. So I'm seeing this situation that comes up in your readings a lot, actually. And yeah, I'm still picking up on this positive outcome for this thing. There was some kind of litigation or mediation around you or something. So I'm picking up on that again. So because I'm seeing this a second time, I think I saw this last week and it's here again. So that means I'm doubly sure of this good outcome because, yeah, the exact card, same cards here again. And, okay, I'll tell you what I'm seeing here. I think there's a reminder in this. So if you're still involved in this litigation or whatever this is, if you have someone helping you with this, a lawyer or someone else who's helping you, there's something you might need to tell them. There's something you might have forgotten maybe. I'm seeing maybe you've forgotten to show them something. It's not a crucial thing, but I think this would make a difference. So it's worth telling them or showing them what this is, if you know what this is. And maybe this will sound a bit crazy to you, but I have to tell you this. I think there's something in a bedroom, a piece of paper or something like that. It has some information on it. This information is helpful to this thing, this litigation or this mediation or whatever this is. So if this is resonating with you, if your memory picks up on this, please go and get this piece of paper or, write it down, take a picture of it, whatever. Bring it to this person in some way who's helping you or talk to them about this, please. That's what I'm seeing in that card. So the next card you have your present is the Page of Swords. So yeah, I think here's this person. This is this person from your past who keeps on coming up in this reading, this kind of fantasy person. So you know, the pages are students, they're teenagers. So, you know, with this person, if they're not younger than you in age, they're definitely younger than you in maturity, you know, maturity-wise. And again, I know that sounds like I'm being horrible to them. I don't mean to. I can just see everywhere that you have moved on from where they are. They're kind of in the same place, maturity-wise, or a similar place. They're way back in the past. They're thinking all about the past and remembering things and imagining things. And you're in the now. You're in the now, you're in the real, and you're in the future. You're a completely different person to the way you were then. You see things completely differently. You have real problems to deal with, real people, real things to take care of. But, you know, that I think, you know, this is what this is in this card, you know, this is the stalker card or the watching card. So they're watching you on social media or whatever. And, you know, it's inevitable, really. If someone's thinking about you all the time, if they're dreaming about you all the time, there's probably going to be a time when they do look you up on social media. So that's what they're doing. And then the progression from that is, the next step from that is that they're going to start messaging you, and they are going to do that at some time. I'm seeing that very clearly. So watch out for that once again. They are going to message you. That's what I'm seeing here. So the next, oh, sorry, not the next, the last card you have for your present is the Four of Pentacles. Yeah, so they're holding on to you. This whole thing again, I'm seeing this person's holding on to the memory of you, the fantasy of you, but not the real you. And that was the person they were dealing with when they were with you. They weren't dealing with the real you. They were dealing with who they wanted you to be. And so that's why you felt really rejected, really left out, because they didn't want the real you, and they still don't, sadly. That's what I'm seeing. I know that's quite blunt. So, you know, if you look at this, there's a city. So you can't see. I'm going to move this up so you can see. So there's a city behind this man. And that's where the real day-to-day life goes on. You know, people talk, they trade, they get on with their busy lives. That's real life. And again, here's this man. He has his back to real life, just like this person I'm seeing in this reading. This is quite interesting, actually. Maybe you don't think it is, but I think this is the first time I've seen this in this card. So I just wanted to talk about this. So if you look at this city, you know, it's small, you know, it might not be, yeah, you can see it. So, yeah, so it's a small city, and there are mountains behind the city just to the right. And this, and, you know, the buildings are higher than the mountains. So to me, this is about a man climbing higher than nature, taking over from nature. And if you take that to its extreme, if you take that too far, obviously you have the tower, which is a disaster. So when this tower moment happened between you and this person, they did not see this coming, because they still had their heads in this fantasy world. If they had their head out of the fantasy world, they would have been able to see this coming. I think you warned them. I think you told them you weren't happy. You wanted them to listen. They weren't listening to you. They weren't taking any notice of you, because they weren't interested in the real you. That's what I'm seeing. And so when the tower moment happened, when you finally said, enough is enough, tower moment, I'm going, they were like, what? I can't believe this. And then, of course, then the tower happened to them, and they couldn't believe it. So, yeah, that's what I'm seeing there. Anyway, so the other thing I'm seeing here is you're actually quite stable now. You're the opposite of this person. You're very stable. You've worked really, really hard to get to where you are. And you've had a lot of obstacles in your way, actually, to get to where you are. You know, you've really, really come up the hard way. You've had to drag yourself up to get to where you are now. It's still not that easy. I think things are better for you than they used to be. And they'll get even better when this result in the Nine of Cups comes in for you. I think you're probably still a bit stressed around money, which is what the Four of Pentacles can be about. But from what I'm seeing here, you might be being a little bit strict with yourself, a little bit too strict with your money. I can see why you are. You know, if you've had a lot of financial problems in the past, of course you don't want to go back to where you used to be. I just think you could invest in yourself a little bit more, take care of yourself a little bit more, maybe be a little bit relaxed, a little bit more relaxed around money than you are. Yeah, I think you might have someone else you're caring for, and maybe you're putting them first, which is fine, especially if this is a child. Of course, you're going to put them first if there is a child around you, but that you're taking care of. But don't put yourself last. Putting other people first, especially if this is a child, doesn't mean that you put yourself last. See yourself as a high priority. Do that, because I think in this relationship, getting back to this again, they weren't seeing you. They're in their fantasy world. They weren't seeing the real you. They didn't see you as a priority. They didn't see you as anything. So they saw you as who they imagined you to be. So you see yourself in the real. You know what you're like. So take care of yourself and put yourself first. Doesn't matter how other people see you. Think about how you see you and think about how you want to see you, and treat yourself in the way that you want to be and the way that you want other people to treat you. That's what I'm seeing in that card. So the first card you have for your future is the Knight of Pentacles. Right, okay. I hate to say this because I know this situation was in your last reading. It comes up all the time. It's in this one as well. Okay, so firstly, I just want to say this about this, because I truly believe this and I'm seeing this everywhere. You will get a positive result out of whatever this process is. I'm seeing that everywhere. It's in the Nine of Cups. It was in your last reading. So know this, the result's going to be positive. Okay, so putting that aside, I'm seeing some delays happening here with this process, especially if there's money around this, which, you know, this is the Knight of Pentacles. So yes, there is. So yeah, I'm seeing a delay. It's going to slow a lot of things down for you in this, but you know, the end result is still going to be good. So keep on holding on to that, keep on remembering that, thinking of that, I should say. Keep that in mind. Now, if what I was seeing about that piece of paper or that information, if that's all correct and that's kind of resonating with you, see if you can put that into action. See if you can tell this person that's helping you about that. That might make things happen a bit faster for you. So try that if that resonates with you. But yeah, the end result is going to be positive. Don't forget that. So the next card you have your future is the Two of Wands. So yeah, you are going to be a bit frustrated with this delay. I can see that here. You know, this man's looking out onto the world, onto this view. He's thinking, I want to go out there. I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to do that. All these things with my life, but I have to wait. And there's a wand behind him as well. And it's bolted to a wall or something. So whatever that is, a wall, or looks like a wall. So yeah, it's bolted there. So that's what that's telling me is, it's probably a person that's delaying this. It's probably a person. So someone's holding this up with something for some reason. I don't know if it's the other party involved in this. It might be someone around who's working with them or something. I don't know. Something's delayed because of a person, or it's going to be. But again, try and be as patient as you can, because again, positive result. I won't keep repeating that, but that's what I keep on seeing. So the last card you have your future is the Queen of Swords. Okay. Obviously, I think this obviously represents you. This is how you're going to feel when this person in the Six of Cups comes back into your life. I feel a bit sorry for them, actually. So this is what they're imagining. They're imagining, oh, I'm going to have this big reunion. It's going to be so beautiful. It's going to be exactly like the Six of Cups. It's going to be flowers, sunny days, beautiful things. Oh, it's going to be so nice. The reality is going to be like the Queen of Swords. That's what they're going to face. They're going to see you and they're going to be, oh, I'm not facing flowers and hearts and chocolates. I'm facing the Queen of Swords. So yeah, I'm not seeing you wanting to connect with this person again for so many reasons I'm seeing all over this whole reading. You've just changed so much since you're around them. You're not the same. I think you're probably going to have a few conversations with them, actually. I am seeing you are, so don't worry about that. It's going to be okay. You're just going to have a few conversations. And I actually think they'll be really shocked when they speak to you or message you or speak to you face to face. I'm not sure how this is going to come about. They're going to be expecting someone who's completely different. And because to them, they've got all of this in their head as to what it's going to be like when they speak to you. But the person they're imagining isn't you. I keep on seeing that. So it's going to feel like they're speaking to a complete stranger. And it's going to be a big shock to them. And I think actually it's going to be very hard on them, but I think it's going to be really good for them actually to have this shock, because they'll need to come back to some kind of reality. I don't know if they will, because I think it's in their personality to keep their head in the clouds all the time. But at least they'll be able to eventually move on after this shock. It's not going to be easy for them, but it's what's best for them. That's what I'm seeing. So, and that's a big horn telling them to have this big shock. So, Gemini, I hope this resonated. As you know, general readings can't always resonate with every single Gemini in the whole world. But again, if you like this reading, please like, subscribe, leave a comment if that's what you like to do. Thank you so much for watching.